Alright, time to do something different. I'm going to release at least 3 videos for the month of October. The month of horror and scares has come upon us, and to start things off, why not review something with my favorite subject, the zombie. The undead abomination that has had many different variations. The original undead from Night of the Living Dead, the classic infected zombie from Resident Evil, to even the body-snatching parasites of Half-Life. Most of the time, they are slow, shambling monsters that are not dangerous in and of themselves, but when the numbers are stacked against you, do you see the true horror. So it's hilarious to think about it when a girl with a chainsaw goes through hordes like a knife through butter. Today, I take a look at Lollipop Chainsaw on the PS3. Lollipop Chainsaw was released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on June 12, 2012. The game was developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Kadokawa Games and Warner Brothers. I couldn't find much in terms of development for the game before release, but 2 years before, Suda51 mentions the game was going to be, in quotes, fun with freaky twists. Goichi Suda, or Suda51 as he's known by, is a designer, writer, and director for video games. Some of the games he's worked on are Killer 7, No More Heroes, and Killer is Dead. In fact, Killer 7 is what got him a lot of international attention. He has also mentioned that he enjoys working between dark and comedic projects. Lollipop Chainsaw is one of these comedic projects. Some of the information that I found for the game is that it was also a collaboration between both Suda and James Gunn, a filmmaker who nowadays would be known for directing a couple of famous Marvel properties. The lead singer for MSI, Jimmy Urine, I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I may be wrong, was brought in to work on both the boss music and voice the first boss of the game, Zed. There wasn't much that I found about the development, but I can easily say that the game is very good. The story for Lollipop Chainsaw begins with a quick description of Juliet Starling and her family, and that today is her birthday as she heads for school. Unfortunately, she finds that many of her classmates are now zombies, and now has to deal with them to save the world. On her way, she sees her boyfriend, Nick, get bitten by a zombie and watches as he slowly dies in front of her.
No, there's something we can try. It's the only chance we have to save you.
Juliet? What the fuck?
I love you too, baby.
Then she proceeds to rev up the chainsaw and cut his head off. The humor in this game is all over the place, and I did have a small chuckle here and there anytime I found or heard something funny. Continuing through the school, it turns out that a student opened a portal to Rotten World with magic and explosives. Yes, explosives. And has started turning everyone in the school into zombies. He then summons 5 powerful zombies to do his bidding and to continue infecting the rest of the school. The bosses in this game have to be some of my favorites, especially Zed. If first impressions really are important, then this one just took the cake and added explosives because this guy was relentless. It got me looking forward to the rest of the game the first time I played through it. For the most part, the bosses follow a 3-phase format, and to get to each one, you just beat down the boss until you get to
I'm stoked.
I would also like to mention just how much personality each boss has when they're first introduced. Besides Zed, another boss I like is Vicky, especially when he decides he needs lightning to deal with you. As you continue the story, you meet the rest of Juliet's family. The first being Cornelia, the sniper.
Hey, Cordelia! What's up?
See you in a few. Right now, I'm gonna go kick some zombie ass.
Rosalind, the insane. I wish I was joking.
I almost hit a bird. Look out.
And finally, her father, Gideon, who is just, well...
I think he really liked you.
You only meet Elizabeth at the end of the game, and that's something related to the endings. There are 2 endings to the game, and I will say this. Even if you played perfectly on normal and saved everyone you see, you'll still get the bad ending. To get the good ending, you need to save all the students, even those in the other difficulties. This is why I played on very hard for this playthrough, to attempt to get the good ending. I didn't. The good thing is that you only need to save them once for it to count. You can also see how many students you saved when you pause the game. I wish you can actually do this outside of any stage, but yeah, that's my one gripe with that one. There are also other modes you can play under the ranking mode. These are extra modes you can play that can be placed in an online leaderboard. The modes you can play are Score Attack, Time Attack, and Medal Attack. These just add a little bit of extra challenge for the game, and also removes the store in a very unique way. Alright, gameplay. It's your standard 3D beat 'em up. You have 3 attacks, your light pom-pom attacks, the heavy chainsaw slashes, and the low chainsaw slashes. Early on, you won't have many combos, but you can purchase stronger ones in the shop. Attacking with just the chainsaw isn't the best idea because those are your slowest attacks. So it's better to use your light attacks to weaken the zombies and put them in a dazed state, where one attack with the chainsaw will take them out. You can also attack low for zombies that have been knocked down, or you can chop off hordes' legs and give yourself some breathing room. After you deal enough damage, you actually have access to a super mode. Doesn't really make you invincible, but any attack with the chainsaw you do is an instant kill. Unfortunately, it also plays Hey Mickey all the time, so get used to that song. Also, killing any zombies, at least 3 or more at the same time, will net you a sparkle hunting bonus, which gives you a ton of medals, both the regular bronze medals and the needed platinum medals. These you can use in the shops, which are pretty much identified with the little floating chicken with the computer. You go up to those, start it up, and there you can purchase up items, upgrades, and cosmetics. The items are pretty much just using the medals, the bronze ones. You can use those, you can purchase health items, tickets, and also the upgrades for your health and all that. The platinum medals are for pretty much cosmetics and buying the MP3s and artwork. These are harder to get because those don't spawn normally. You actually need to get those through sparkle hunting. During the game, you can also find Nick tickets. These are essentially powerful attacks that utilize Nick. You can spin him around, fire him from a giant popper, and can even be shaken for extra coins and health. When you use it, it pretty much spins a roulette, so you actually have to time it right to actually use the one you want to use. In case you lose all your health, these tickets can also be used to give you an extra chance. Again, it's a roulette system, but there's only one Nick icon on there. You only get one shot, so make it count. It's not just beating up zombies for the whole game. Sometimes you actually have to do a mini game to continue through it. There's a lot of variations that the game offers. Some of the things you do are basketball and baseball. You have to use a thresher in the farm. The arcade stage has a lot of references to old games. But unfortunately, these aren't like just regular minigames. These are also dangerous ones, which means that you can game over if you fail it. The last minigame, honestly, at the arcade is what nearly broke me because of the RNG on it. I had no idea if I was going to be able to survive getting past certain things. Even though you do get different upgrades for the chainsaw, specifically the chainsaw dash and the chainsaw blaster, you can't use them in earlier stages. This is honestly one of my biggest gripes with the game, especially because you can still use the Nick Popper and the Nick Shoot ticket abilities that you've unlocked. The graphics for the game are fine. The game came out in 2012 and I still found them okay. There does seem to be a film grain effect on it, which I actually didn't notice until I started typing up this section. A few parts of the game do get a little hard to see, usually from smoke or fire, but they don't happen that often. And like I've mentioned with the film grain earlier, I actually never noticed it until, like I said, I actually had to do research on this game. One of the biggest draws for Lollipop Chainsaw is the music. There is so much good music in this game. It even lets you choose 5 of them to play anytime during your playthrough. There are also licensed tracks in here that can be played too. Some of the songs are Mickey, which I've mentioned before plays whenever you use your stupor. Lollipop, which plays whenever you activate the shop. And You Spin Me Around, which plays during the Thresher minigames. The rest of the music was heavily inspired by 80s music. Also, at the last minute, while I was literally recording this, I actually found a few behind the scenes videos about the game in the Mindless Self-Indulgence channel. Why I couldn't find any articles looking through the web, but I find these when I want to make sure I'm not saying Jimmy's last name wrong. I'll have the links in the description because they're honestly interesting videos and they're so funny. And that is Lollipop Chainsaw. I recommend it. It's still fun and challenging, except that minigame. That's unnecessarily brutal. Even though I did play on the hardest difficulty and was assaulted multiple times by the elderly duo, I was still able to complete it. The game goes between $15 and $30 for both consoles, and unfortunately it is disc only. Suda51 has mentioned that he would love to make a sequel to the game. Unfortunately, he has to get Kadokawa and Warner Brothers to agree to make it. So if you are interested, give the game a try, and if you enjoyed it, tell your friends. Let's try to give this game the attention it deserves, and hopefully, if it really does get a lot of attention, we might get a sequel.